the belief codes, the 3 beliefs that every happy, successful Christian woman knows and lives by. This is so exciting to be able to present this to you today, you guys, because I know the last few days have probably been like, whoa, you just pointed out so many things that I'm not sure what to do with all this stuff that you've put in this basket. So today we're going to talk about, you will know after this class, so get excited, take some notes, how to be an incredible mom, disciple in Jesus Christ, devoted wife, and progress personally toward a life you love that's full of abundance. Like, this is going to be awesome, okay? How to have anything you want without guilt. Anybody excited? Who's excited? Talk about being excited. Okay, so this is where you currently have been, right? We talked yesterday, or if you're watching the recording, day 2, whatever that looks like, that there's been generations of tradition. Generations of tradition. And you're confident when you get permission, when you have approval from like people that are close to you. You love validation. And that literally comes from generations of women inside this culture needing this permission. You've had fear-based learning where you always felt like you had to do things perfect, you had to do things right, there was one way to do it or you were going to hell. Very much like I have lived my entire life in a fear-based mentality. You have to rationalize your needs, and so you get into motherhood and it's like, if I need this thing, like I have to rationalize why it's useful. I have to rationalize why I need this money. I have to rationalize why I need to go take a bath. To the point where you literally take desperate action on things. Everything feels like a desperation, something that you have to do. And if you've coached with me, I call that have to energy. You fear a lot that you're on display, that people are judging you, that God is judging you, that you are judging you, that your spouse is judging you, that your kids are judging you. You are endlessly trying to please all the peoples. You're afraid that your kids might resent you one day. You're afraid that you're going to get to the pearly gates and be told you didn't do the right thing. The cycle of worthiness, which was day 1. The shame, the guilt, the self-sabotage because things haven't been changing that you try to change. Things don't work out how you've set these expectations to come. You feel like maybe you're a burden. You're worth less than other things. And there's this cycle that we dove into on day 2 where it says, you did some work, you tried, you got some help, but nothing really changed. Yet you go back to, but I want to make change. It feels right to progress. So you go on faith again and again, only to end up in the same feeling, the same guilt, the same frustration, same low vibe living. And you wonder, am I good enough? Is my spouse proud of me? Are my kids going to be screwed up? Where do I even start to see abundance without sacrificing important things and feeling the guilt? Anybody? Like, the donut is the thing, right? Like, this is such a thing. So I know this is what you want. When I created the Elevated Mother Experience, and we're going to talk about the specific beliefs that we teach in here, right? These belief codes. You want that awareness. And this is what I teach. You want the awareness that, oh my gosh, this is how this makes sense. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And by the 2nd month in the program, you see how changing things is inevitably, like, success is inevitable. You'll be like, oh, I see this now. Like, I can see how this is possible. There's no more confusion. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And then after that first quarter, things start going. You're starting to see, I paid off some debt, or we got into that business, or my kid's progressing in this way. I'm not yelling as much, like whatever. And then you start to say, you know what? Life is actually happening for me. Nothing's against me anymore. Like, I'm not a victim to my circumstances any longer. Like, things are lining up for me. By month 5, you understand the chaos. You understand where your guilt comes from. So now you get aware of situations and it's not all of the shame and the guilt piling on. Things just flow and you allow them to flow. Goals are happening and you just go, oh, I know what this used to feel like, but it's not like that anymore. And by month 6, you're confident, you're feeling love, you're feeling joy, you're feeling the abundance shifts, you're feeling the spiritual growth. This does not have to be a super lifelong 10-year experience, my friend. Like this, getting out of that cycle zone doesn't. So here's the belief codes, okay? The 3 beliefs that can change this. So the beliefs are in the gold color, and in the black is what I teach inside the Elevated Mother Experience. This is what I figured out on my own with a lot of different coaches. So I can't say I figured it out on my own because I used books, I used resources, I had coaches. This is what I mapped that I now took some beta clients through and said, hey, I want to know if this works. It was fabulous, and it's just evolved from there. So the first part, we mind map. We find out, where am I at? How do I think? What are my patterns? What belief systems are these tied to? This lends to this belief that says, I believe I can always change. Because once you start mind mapping and disrupting them and rebuilding, you build the belief that nothing is concrete, that things can change all the time. You believe that. It becomes a belief within you. You never have to settle. Things can always change. My brain is always malleable. I can always progress. This is one of the top beliefs of anyone that's successful. But in the Christian world, this is huge. To really believe that you always have the power to change. The next one is that soul-aligned clarity. All of a sudden, I say soul-aligned because it's individual, it's very custom. You say, I see this. I'm having clarity about, we have a very specific vision process that I take you through in my workbook. You say, this is why I do what I do. How about I create goals and break them down in a way that works with how I work? Let's use language. Let's break things down in the steps that work with how I work. That's soul-aligned clarity. And at that point, you are creating your purpose. You say, I believe that I'm creating my purpose. I'm the creator of my life. We step into our divine nature as a creator. We're co-creating with God. Like, this is such a big belief among Christian women. Like, this one is definitely like, I create what I'm doing here based on what I decide with my agency. This is so beautiful. The last one is this action and accountability part. So once we've broken things down and you have people around you that are cheering for you, they're seeing what you're doing, you're reporting your wins, we have one-on-one coaching, it's like, here we go. You now believe in the law of cause and effect. That if I move on something, I will see a result and I will move forward. That if I start climbing this mountain, I'm going to gain resilience, I'm going to gain muscles, I'm going to understand how my shoes work. Like, that's an analogy, right? Like, you will now understand and believe in the law of cause and effect, that if you do something, you are shifting energy, you're moving it along. And what's interesting is how many people don't believe that. They think it's going to look a very specific way, that they aren't in control of how this can go, okay? So take a screenshot of this if you need to. These are the 3 beliefs. So this is how it works inside the program with these 3 things. So when we do the mind mapping, we're discovering what are your unhelpful beliefs. And if you watch day 2, you know, as Christian moms, thinking we got to do all the things is such an old tradition, and it's not helpful. It's not resourceful. It actually perpetuates really low vibe belief systems that cause burnout, guilt, shame. So we find the unhelpful and move to the helpful. We make those aligned goals. We set the action steps that align with how we discovered you think. And then there's that safe accountability so that you can move forward. Okay? If you miss these steps, so some people will like get into their goals, they get moving, and they set all these goals and they find that they're really struggling to reach them. They're like, I've set this goal a million times. What is happening? This has happened to any of you guys? Share in the chat. Like, if you skip this part of of figuring out why you think the way you think, what value systems are at play, you'll cycle back around every single time. You will. You'll cycle back around. That cycle we talked about at the very beginning will continue to be your lifelong legacy. Okay? So you cannot skip this step. So many people come to me wanting like business coaching. Robin, tell me strategy, tell me this stuff. And I'm like, have you ever done mind mapping? Have you ever gone and figured out where you're like, how you see life, how you're seeing reality? And they're like, well, I mean, I've done, and I'm like, no, you need to go through the elevated mentor experience and not skip this step. Because if they haven't done that step, I will not coach them through business because they will cycle back every single time. If you miss creating goals that actually align with how you think, right? This belief that like, I can change everything, like going back to those belief systems, right? You cannot skip this or you will procrastinate. Lots of effort for results that don't feel worth it will be your story. You'll be like, I worked so hard on this thing and it didn't, what? You will have so much comparison too, because you haven't created goals that are so personal to you that you feel so inevitable in your success that you can say, my success is certain, it doesn't matter. When you've created goals that someone else says should be your goal, you are in comparison for life. And that creates imposter syndrome. When you think you have to show up, you have all these beliefs about what a person that does this thing does. Oh, I have this belief that a homeschool mom does this thing, when maybe no other homeschool moms do that, but you've seen certain things, so then you measure against other people instead of measuring against yourself. You've got to have aligned goals. You cannot skip this step. If you miss the action, like how you break it down, how you broke it down matters so much. You can't just set a goal and then be like, okay, if I'm going to trust this person that if I do this, this is how will happen. No, you have to break it down in alignment so that the cause and effect that happens makes sense for you. So if you skip that, you burn out, and the burnout cycle happens often because you're doing goals that someone else with other value systems, with other traumas, like they've set a goal a certain way for them. It has to have a lot, like the action steps that align with your lifestyle and what you want to have happen, because this is where people start to sacrifice things that they don't want to sacrifice, and they're being told that that's just necessary. It's like, no, that might have been necessary for them because that aligned with them. When you feel like you're making unnecessary sacrifices, you haven't broken your goals down in a way that aligns with your values. When you have self-esteem issues and a lot of confusion, your confidence is just up and down and up and down and up and down. I guarantee this is because you haven't broken it down into steps that are in alignment already with your goals and your intent, like personal, with your personal stuff. And if you don't have the place for safe accountability, you are in your head a lot. Telling yourself things, old patterns pop up, old thoughts. Like if you don't have a place, and I say safe accountability because this isn't your husband. This isn't your mom. This isn't your best friend. This is a place where somebody that's unbiased, like a coach, that comes in and says, oh, they're trained in compassion and empathy and healthy questions that will help you to arrive at your own conclusions by your own agency. And they're unbiased towards your life because they don't live with you. They're not close to you. This has been like, I value an outside coach so much for this piece. And having a group of moms that are doing this at the same time, a group of business owners that are the same place as me, a group of people in my weight loss class that are having the similar struggles with their hormones. This is so invaluable. You will never, if you're not in a safe place for accountability, you will cycle through failure. You'll always feel like you aren't enough. There will be a continued cycle of worthlessness. I'm worth less than these people. I can't show up like this. I'm behind in the program. You don't have high levels of joy. You have very low levels of joy. You don't have places that you're celebrated for every win along the road. Guys, you want to up level For real. You deserve it. Your kids will benefit. Your marriage will benefit. Your future depends on it. You can't outperform your self-perception. Those 3 beliefs have to be in play for you to shift your self-perception from where you've been in Christian culture to where you want to go. So there's the old way, where we do all the things, we cycle through, and there's the new way, where everything is aligned. We figured out how we think. We're figuring out this fleshy tabernacle that we're living in, going, oh, this is me having a physical experience. I don't have to identify with this physical experience. That's something we teach a lot about inside the Elevated Mother experience. Now, these are some of the things that clients have said in the program. I would love if you want to take a screenshot of this, take time to read some of these. I don't even know which ones to read to you, but I loved when one of my clients said, she's now an advanced client, she said, following this process, success is inevitable. It's so empowering to me to know that, because she was in that cycle of just a lot of shame and guilt. Like, just read through some of these. Like I said, take a screenshot. If you ever get the recording of this, if you're watching the recording, pause it and read some of these. Like, it's really, really awesome. So I just want to drive home to you that things can be different. And it's actually just a decision. There doesn't have to be some monumental, huge thing. There's so many decisions that are yours if you choose to claim your agency with a belief that things can be different. I want to help you. I don't want this to be just me over here having this exciting experience. I would love to help all the moms that are sitting behind closed doors wondering what's my problem, wondering how they can do these things without sacrificing important things. I want to help you increase your family's cycle of abundance and joy, because I know, seeing it in my own family history, that this takes just one person. You can increase the peace in your home and in yourself. This is the final hurdle that you have been looking for. If you're on this call, you've been looking for this information. That's why you're here. That's why you invited yourself into my space, right? You're here because you chose to be here. And if you apply, we have that extra bonus training that talks about the exact process inside the program, like what that looks like. Why did it keep going back? I don't know. So here's the thing. You don't want to have to cycle anymore. No more, maybe this will be the thing. Maybe this will be the thing. Or telling your spouse, I promise, honey, after this I won't join another program. Or heaven forbid, you start to believe, I'm a bad mom. I should just settle. This is just not in my cards. This idea of abundance, this idea of peace, this idea of more, this idea of filling that fire that's in you and actually touching it. There's no other program out there that's designed like this one, because I created it, right? This is the one that's designed to teach you how to make your dreams happen, change generational cycles without hustle mentality, without sacrificing your family, without living like others won't so you can live like others can't. If you guys heard that, that is such a hustle mentality. It's deep. Deep. And I know there's a lot of books, there's podcasts, there's leaders out there that promote that idea. It works for them, as I explained back on some of those slides. That works for them and their value system. If you've been in that world, you're listening to these inspirational books and podcasts that talk about that idea, and you're cycling through shame, recognize that that idea isn't wrong. It's just not for you. It didn't work for me. And it didn't work for several of my clients that were in that kind of atmosphere. And it's like they have to unlearn it to be able to succeed, because this program aligns so much better with their values of what they want their life to look like. So in EMX, just a little quick thing. This is a 6-month program. Some of you say, wow, that's kind of long. But it's kind of hard to undo generational cycles and map how you think without having the amount of time to do so. Gift yourself the release of time expectations and dive in. It's a hybrid program, so that means you do have one-on-one coaching, which I've been told is like so invaluable and different from other coaching opportunities. So you do have the group because it is so important that you have that visual of other people, that you're not alone in this, that you are working along other people. You have something to share. They have something to share. And then you have those one-on-ones where we really peel back the layers. This way, this hybrid way, gets you fast results. So we also combine mindset mastery, high-level coaching, plus the run-on-one crossroads sections that like blow everything out. It's awesome. We have weekly classes, step-by-step roadmap, the workbook, and what's different about this program is it's lifetime access, which means I've made everything downloadable. You can download everything. You can download the workbook and print as many copies as you want. Obviously, there's a contract that says you can't distribute my material, but no one that's here has such low ethics, right? And so everything, you're the perfect fit to apply for this program if you're a Christian mom who is done wondering if she's a good mom. You want more peace, spiritual understanding, personal confidence, joy, day-to-day, abundance, right? You spend too much time second-guessing, replaying scenarios in your mind, wondering if you did it right, only to still wonder about the future and if you're doing enough, right?